Hello everyone, welcome to Broadview. My name is Joseph. Today we're going to be talking about civilization in the center of the Earth. Is there life deep down under the Earth's surface with a higher intelligence than humans? And if so, where is the entrance into the subterranean world? Let's start with a very popular story of an adventure into Hollow Earth. Richard Byrd was a well-known pioneering American aviator and explorer of the 20th century. He navigated flights across the Atlantic Ocean and the North Pole and completed the first U.S. expedition to the South Pole. He was the youngest admiral in U.S. Navy history, so needless to say he was a man of stature for his time. When he traveled to the North Pole for the fourth time, he began keeping a diary. The contents of this diary are related to the civilization inside the Earth that we're going to be talking about today. The diary opens with, quote, "I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. I'm not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing. Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny. But I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. In a world of greed and exploitation of certain of mankind can no longer suppress that which is truth," end quote. Those are powerful words. The diary then begins with the flight log. Flight log, Base Camp, Arctic, February 19, 1947. At 6:20 a.m., Admiral Byrd and a companion took off on a mission. About 3 hours later, all of their compasses and instruments began to spin randomly, and the direction of flight was locked. Meanwhile, General Byrd spotted the vague figures of some mountains in the distance. After flying over one of them, a green plain dotted with rivers and creeks appeared in front of him, and a dense forest could even be seen to the left of the plain. He then spotted what he thought was an elephant walking down on the ground below. But when he lowered his altitude to 1,400 feet for a closer look, he couldn't believe his eyes. Was that a mammoth? As they descended to 1,000 feet, he confirmed that he was indeed looking at some sort of mammoth-like creature, and he told his companion to report this to the base camp immediately. But at this point, they realized that the radio was no longer working. Admiral Byrd then glanced at the temperature indicator on the dashboard and saw that it was 74 degrees Fahrenheit. They kept flying, passing many villages below them and even a city in the distance. The plane seemed to have lost its weight, floating in the air, and all functions failed. Suddenly, there was a crackling over the plane's radio, and then an English message was heard. "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral, you are in good hands." At the same time, Admiral Byrd noticed that the engine had stopped working and the plane was under the control of some mysterious force, flying and making turns by itself. Another radio signal came through 7 minutes later. "We begin the landing process now." The entire descent was described by Admiral Byrd as like being in a great unseen elevator that could barely be felt, with only a slight jolt while touching down. According to Admiral Byrd, several tall, blonde-haired men walked towards the plane after landing. Here, the Admiral continues to write, quote, "The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves us toward the glowing city with great swiftness. Soon we arrive at a large building that is a type I have never seen before." My thoughts are interrupted in a cordial manner by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality. "I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. You are in the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the Earth. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to witness here that our world does exist. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race. Now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message." The two beings motioned us toward the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at the aircraft. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by an unseen force until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. 215 hours. A radio message comes through. We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free. Awida Zhang. 220 hours. We are again over vast areas of ice and snow in approximately 27 minutes from base camp. 300 hours. We land smoothly at base camp. I have a mission. Admiral Byrd attended a meeting at the U.S. Department of Defense in March 1947 and gave a detailed account of his adventure to the center of the Earth and briefed President Harry Truman. Admiral Byrd was also put under investigation by the highest security department and went through medical examinations. He was required to keep strictly quiet about the incident and was not allowed to bring the matter up with anyone. Admiral Byrd was repeatedly reminded that he was a soldier and that he must obey orders. Unfortunately, on March 11, 1957, Admiral Richard Byrd passed away, and his son made this diary public. This story first appeared in a book called Hollow Earth, which was published in 1964. The author of Hollow Earth was Walter Siegmeister, an avid UFO enthusiast. When the story came out, it caused a great shock, but also garnered much skepticism. Some people think it's simply an urban legend, something Byrd's son didn't admit or deny after the publication. In fact, he has remained silent on this topic. So is the Earth hollow or solid? The current mainstream view in the academic community is that the Earth is solid and composed of 3 layers: the crust, the mantle, and the core at the very center. The opposite of this belief is the hollow Earth theory. The first to propose the theory of hollow Earth is the famous astronomer Edmund Halley. He put forward a theory of the hollowness of Earth in 1692. He believed that the Earth is composed of 3 layers of shells. These shells are separated by atmospheres, and there was a different world in each layer of shell. Each layer also has its own magnetic poles rotating at different speeds. The time perceived by each layer in each world is also different, and the innermost atmosphere can emit light. He believed that the aura of the south and north poles is formed by the internal atmosphere leaking from underground. In other words, both the South Pole and the North Pole have channels leading to the world within the Earth. If we can find these channels, we can then enter the subterranean worlds. Nowadays, other than the channels at the North and South Poles as mentioned, people also believe there to be channels in 3 other places. One in the ocean under the Bermuda Triangle, another under one of the pyramids in Egypt, and the final entrance into the ground lies in Tibet. Speaking of the mysterious Tibet, let's dive a little deeper into that. In Tibet, there has always been a mysterious place called Shambhala, also known as Agartha, which means subterranean world in Sanskrit. The legend of Shambhala originated a long time ago. It says that the mighty monks of Tibet have been guarding the entrance to the subterranean worlds for generations. The Tibetan Tulku, or living Buddha, Tejak Rinpoche, once spoke of Shambhala in a book he wrote. He said that there is a giant maze-like tunnel underground which leads to our surface world, that the Shambhala kingdom possesses very advanced technology, and that its residents are all giant Caucasians. This is indeed pretty strange. The subterranean world that the Tibetans described is occupied by a completely different race than theirs. It's said that the people of Shambhala know how to use scientific methods to conceal their entire kingdom. As such, people from our surface world can neither go there nor see it, but can, after doing good deeds, reincarnate there after death. At the beginning of the 20th century, an expedition crew led by artist Nicholas Roerich entered Tibet. They claimed that their main purpose was to bridge the Western and Tibetan Buddhist cultures, but their actions drew enormous attention from the foreign ministries and intelligence agencies of the Soviet Union, the US, the UK, Japan, and other countries. Numerous countries were either openly or secretly monitoring them. But unexpectedly, right under everyone's noses, the expedition's connection with the outside world was strangely cut off for about a year. Where did they go during this year? No one knew this until later when the expedition crew published 2 books, Shambhala the Resplendent and Shambhala in Search of the New Era. After the story of Shambhala spread, Hitler immediately sent the SS to Tibet to search for it. He said that one of his purposes was to find the Tibetan underground entrance to the Shambhala kingdom, learn their advanced technologies, and then dominate the world. There are still many more mysterious stories about underground tunnels and expeditions, but the majority have remained as legends and have not been proven. Did people ever find concrete evidence? Believe it or not, they actually did. The former Soviet Union had a huge drilling project in the Kola Peninsula that borders Norway. Their purpose was to explore the subterranean realms. However, in 1989, the project was halted when the drilling had reached nearly 13 kilometers. The published reasons included unexpectedly high temperatures, porous rocks seepage, and reduced density of the rock layer, which did not allow the drills to continue functioning. The internet was full of rumors that the project had been terminated because of the spooky events that happened during the exploration, such as hearing the sounds of monsters or ghosts screaming underground. However, these claims have yet to be verified. But according to the project's published data, the findings indeed don't fit well with the current model of a solid Earth. First of all, according to the solid Earth model, as we go deeper inside Earth, density should increase. But the drilling results were the opposite. It got emptier as the drill went deeper. Secondly, the deeper part of Earth's crust shouldn't contain water, but large amounts of water were in fact discovered. Third is the excessively rapid rise in temperature. According to the solid Earth model, at the juncture of the Earth's crust and mantle, the temperature should be around 200 degrees Celsius. But in reality, when the hole was drilled to less than 13 kilometers, the temperature had already risen to more than 180 degrees Celsius. Apart from the temperature rise, the other two discoveries actually support the Hollow Earth theory. Hollow Earth believers have also made some inferences based on existing mathematical models. They say that according to the Earth's current size, its mass should be way heavier than it is if it were solid, and that the only way to explain this phenomenon is to believe that the Earth is hollow. Currently, the Hollow Earth model still has many imperfections, and we still cannot find enough concrete evidence to prove the existence of subterranean worlds. The Soviets' expedition, despite not having explored much of the Earth, did nevertheless demonstrate that even the Earth's crust is way more complex than we expected. Because the expedition team had already met so many difficulties despite having only dug a few kilometers down, it shows that the Earth's crust distribution is very uneven. Human industrial civilizations to this day only have a little over 300 years of history, and the total area of human inhabitancy is only 13 to 14% of the Earth's surface. That is to say, more than 85% of just the surface of the Earth remains unknown or rarely touched, let alone hundreds of kilometers down inside the Earth. As for whether the Earth indeed has larger holes deeper within itself, this is a mystery still well beyond the level of human technology. Okay, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please press subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf
Auf Wiedersehen.
Avis.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf
Auf Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen.